Hey guys, thanks for tuning in for an episode of the Power of Storytelling. And today we have a special guest with Elijah Yoder. All right, so here we are with Eli Yoder. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and get it going?
Yeah, so my name's Eli. I'm a college student at the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh. I currently work on the weekends as a bouncer, and I also work full time right now since it is the summer. And I have a photography page that I run, photography business, which is it functions under the same LLC as my marketing business. I just kind of run it as a subcontractor to that. And then I have a pressure washing business with a business partner. I handle most of the digital stuff with that. He handles more of the numbers, the pricing, and the actual physical labor, whereas I focus more on getting leads for the company. So yeah.
So how did that power washing company come together? What gave you the idea of originally starting that?
Well, so it's one of those industries where it doesn't take a lot of skill to power wash something and get it clean. Um there's some things that take a little skill, like making sure it gets soaked with the right chemicals, making sure you don't kill anybody's flower beds off or anything like that. But for the most part, it's really hold the wand and spray where it's dirty. And then obviously don't overspray it because you can damage concrete. It was one of those easy businesses, and it's also a service-based industry, so you don't need an actual location unless you have enough equipment where you have to store it. You don't need a location, so there's no fixed overhead. You break even on expenses with every single service that you do, and it can be very lucrative. So that's why I wanted to get into it. And then my roommate is a realtor through Shore West Realtors, and he actually sold a house to someone that I went to high school with that I hadn't talked to in years. And because of that, I ended up running into him again. And then my roommate mentioned that he was looking into starting a pressure washing business as well. So me and him had a conversation. I went to the Small Business Development Center. It's a Wisconsin resource. You can file LLCs for free if you're a student, and I filed the LLC for that. So yeah, we have actually have the paperwork right here. I haven't cleaned it off my desk yet,
Wow.
but yeah, I filed my LLC for that. It's a joint venture LLC for him, and then it's been very rough to get leads, but either way, yeah, that was all it took to start a pressure washing business. And after that, you have to generate leads to catch customers.
So if you were going to give some advice to upcoming entrepreneurs, what would you say that you've learned from this first power washing company that you could help inspire them?
Yeah, don't worry about the LLC if it's a problem. Truthfully, a lot of people will work for cash. People don't really care. I mean, I filed an LLC for my marketing business. It's called Urban Branding Collective LLC. I filed that LLC so that the businesses that I did marketing or digital design work, graphic design work, restaurant design, whatever, just small random marketing projects that I would catch around town. I did that so they could get tax write-offs instead of just paying me in cash. And then they all just kind of still kept paying me cash. So I really haven't even used the LLC. If you want to start a business, you can always get legal later. Just keep track of the money you make. But as a whole, it's really not that complicated. You can look up a local, like if you're in Wisconsin like me, you can look up the Small Business Development Center. It's a Wisconsin resource. You can get free business consulting. And filing an LLC, if you don't have the free resources as a student, only costs like $135.
Not bad. Not bad at
Mm-hmm.
all. All right. So what kind of pushed you into the business area of going to school? Because I believe you go to school at UW Oshkosh, if that's right. So what kind of pushed you that way?
Towards business as a major,
Yeah.
or as yeah. For me, uh I wanted to go for originally I wanted to go for chiropractic. That was 8 years. I started out at University of Wisconsin Stevens Point as a pre-chiropractic major. That's 8 years. And you'd be considered a doctor, a chiropractic doctor, not an MD. And you'd have about a quarter million in debt by the time you got done. So I was like, yeah, that the quarter mil doesn't look too nice.
Uh,
So I ditched that. Really good with fitness, nutrition planning, workout programs. But as a general rule, if you're a personal trainer, most personal trainers don't make that much money. And a lot of the ones that do didn't go to school for it. They just built an online presence. They sell fitness plans, and nutrition plans online like that. So what was left was business. And in business, even if there's a recession, two things will always be needed for business. That's marketing and sales. So that was kind of what it was for me. I went for marketing. I'm still at a point now where I could switch my major and go to economics because I'm pretty good with economics. And I'm gonna look into it a little further because I have essentially enough credits in all areas that I could just switch it real quick. Economics might be a slightly better degree, but either way, it doesn't really matter. If you have a BBA from a good accredited university like University of Wisconsin Oshkosh, you're usually good either way.
Yeah. So is there anything special about marketing that makes you like that more than others?
Um, Not necessarily. I don't like sales. I
Yeah.
worked door-to-door sales. It was terrible. I hated every minute of it, man. People don't realize how hard door-to-door sales is, man. You, it'll bring a grown man to tears, bro. You hit your 80th door of the day. Someone opens the door. What? What do you want? Get off my property. No, I don't want to buy your stuff. Slam the door in your face. Dude, you do that, and it's your sixth day of knocking in the week. It's a Saturday. Everybody else is out hanging out, shooting hoops, swimming. You're out here knocking doors. You've already knocked all week, have had zeros all day, haven't sold any contracts. You know, you're on day six, and nobody wants to be bothered on their Saturday, their day off. I hated sales, and it'd be
Yeah.
way different working sales in an office or business to business sales, but it just wasn't super for me. And I don't think you really, there's not really majors for sales. You can get certificates.
Yeah.
Marketing, I liked it because I always saw I started paying attention to how big businesses marketed and got their
Yeah.
big billboards and all that type of stuff. And I really was intrigued at how they get their customers, how you get that push to get them to buy your product as opposed to someone else's.
Yeah.
And so I think that was about it. I took a marketing research class that also kind of solidified it as a major for me. I took marketing research, and I helped a team of students in my class. Me and another student kind of led this, and we did all the marketing research for Pacelli Catholic Schools in Stevens Point, and I found it to be very enjoyable. It was
Yeah.
very rewarding.
So growing up, did you have any role models that kind of helped you like guide you towards school, or did you kind of find it on your own?
Um, no, truthfully, no. But I'm first generation high school grad. Funny enough, none of my family really went to high school. They kind of dropped out, started working, and they all built decent lives for themselves. But
Yeah.
I was a first generation high school grad, mainly because I wanted to play sports. I didn't want to miss out on that.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm first generation college student as well. And really, I think I just wanted to carry on my wrestling. I think that was the initial push was, yeah, college is going to be a good investment regardless, and I definitely want to keep wrestling. So I originally I was going to go wrestle for University of Wisconsin lacrosse. They already were full with admissions, so I contacted the coach at Stevens Point, and I got on the team there freshman year, and that was kind of how I got into it.
So about wrestling, do you think wrestling helped implement some like good practices into your life, like make you disciplined and stuff like that?
Wrestling's probably the single biggest reason why I'm disciplined in all honesty. And people don't realize how hard wrestling is. Kind of a niche sport, kind of especially in smaller schools, it's a lot of like the weird kids that didn't play basketball that go to wrestling or whatever. But wrestling is, I mean, I would run conditioning with all the football players, and we conditioned hard. I remember we had a drill sergeant come out one time and put us through the basic training conditioning circuit. I think it was 45 minutes to an hour of just running. You sprint, you stop, you get on the ground, you start doing push-ups, you get up, you do how was it called, man? Burpees, it was just nonstop. And the worst day of my life for conditioning in football was about the average pace of a wrestling practice and of the entire practice. It was ridiculously hard. And I remember my senior year, I gotten so fit that when we ran the pacer test, I outran all the cross country kids and all the
Oh,
track
really?
kids and all the distance runners. Like there's distance runners that made it to state, and I outran them on the pacer test because I was in that good a shape from wrestling. So yeah, I mean the hard work, the consistent failure, like you screw up even once, you could throw the entire match just because of that one takedown you gave up. So it's like maximum accountability, maximum work ethic, minimal reward. It really taught me to work hard.
Yeah, really cool. Really carries over well into the real world, I feel like.
Very well.
So, in your opinion, like how would you define success? Like what is success in the eyes of Eli Yoder?
Um, Success, I think it really comes down to happiness at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, And a lot of people, like, obviously, I think money plays a huge role in it because if you don't have it, it's all you think about. But at the same time, and they teach this in economics. It's called the law of diminishing marginal returns. The more you have of something, the less value each additional unit brings. So if you have enough money to live comfortably and then design your lifestyle the way you want, you have to spend time with your kids, spend time with your friends, go hooping, go swimming, do fun stuff, buy a boat. If you have the freedom to and the resources to do that so that you can consistently have enough fun to recharge for the next time you have to work, I think that's success.
Yeah, 100% agree. I don't feel like money is the biggest answer. I feel like there's a lot, you got to be happy in what you're doing as well. Otherwise, you'll still be miserable. Um, let's see here. Slight little pause here. We'll cut this out.
Yeah. Edits, man.
Okay, so if you could talk to yourself about just as you graduated high school, what would be the one thing you would tell yourself?
In any context at all, or in a
Yeah,
specific
life,
context?
school, relationships,
Hmm.
everything.
Right out of high school, I think, man, that's a hard one. There's a lot of different things, man. You're right out of high school is
Don't
like
know.
I feel like
Yeah,
the most confident most people feel in their life, but you're also at the same time the dumbest you'll ever
just
be in your
lost.
adult life.
Yeah.
I think for me, it would be under become an expert at one thing. You do try everything, but hit expert status at one thing. Get really good at something because I think most people never become smart enough to understand how the learning curve works, and a lot of people don't realize this. And I had this guy hit me up a week ago to shoot this video for him, do some more marketing work for his business, and I've been coordinating with him for about a week trying to get this set up. And now, if he texts me back, I'm gonna tell him I'm not doing it because he took too long. And the
Yeah.
reason why that happened is because he didn't take the time to make sure that he was good in his field, that he was intelligent and efficient. And he genuinely thinks, as a grown man, he's mid 20s right now. He thinks that he is one of the experts in the field, in his field, and he's not, and it rolls over into every other part of his life, but he lives in denial of that because he never understood how the learning curve works. And what happens is when you first start something, you feel the most confident in that subject than you ever will the rest of the time you learn about that. Because the more you learn about it, the more you realize how much information there is about it. And a
Yeah.
lot of people never dig deep enough into anything to understand how that works. And I think that affects a lot because if you overextend, you put yourself at risk. You overextend in an argument about something, you end up getting flamed, and you look dumb. You
Yeah.
overextend in an interview, and then you get tested. Um, Now you look dumb. Now you don't get the job, and it's like one of those universal things where you have to understand how to carry yourself before you can be super good at anything.
Yeah. 100% agree. I agree with the point that you made. You find one skill and you become the best at it. There's going to be a market for it because people are willing to pay for those type of skills, you know?
Yeah, and the thing is too, it wasn't necessarily so much that as in like expert level, because like for me, I consider myself pretty close to expert level with nutrition plans. I
Yeah.
help people get in great shape. And I don't make any money off of it now. Like I use it for myself. I know how to keep myself fit, keep working out, keep eating healthy, whatever. And if people need nutrition plans, I'll crunch their numbers for them because I have the formulas and I know how it works. But that's not really the benefit because I haven't built my life around that and I haven't made a living off of it. Um, I think I made like $600 off of it ever in my life writing people nutrition plan. But
Yeah.
the point was what it left me with was at the end of the day, I went from beginner to intermediate to advanced, maybe the top level of advanced with it now. And so you understand how that trajectory looks and what it feels like to become very good at something. And a
Yeah.
lot of people don't do that and then they become overconfident and stuff that they shouldn't be acting overconfident in. Because if you're confident in something you're not smart with, you just look arrogant. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people fall into that.
Yeah, that's fair. So I guess this kind of leads into it, but what would you say a common mistake is that people make in high school, like in college? Like, what do you think?
College,
Yeah.
number one mistake people make in college is getting caught up with the wrong woman.
Oh yeah.
Said what I said,
Yeah.
man. That I think the secondary one to that would be partying too much. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people, and I only say that because I did it too, but people don't realize the effect alcohol has on you. You can have a great night, but if you push it too far, your next day is gone too. Because you're going to wake up, you're not going to feel good. Even if you get rid of the hangover, you're not going to be super productive. Your brain's not firing as quick. And if you do that twice a weekend, something as simple as that can lead to you getting behind on your homework, and it starts to snowball from there. Now you're behind on your homework. Now you're stressed. Now your quality of life goes down. Now your other homework sucks because now you have to get this done real quick. And as soon as you're done, you have to work on the next thing because that's due the next day.
Yeah.
And it snowballs really quick where if you cut drinking down a little bit, maybe to once a weekend or twice a week, but not back to back days, and you drink more as, oh, I have no homework, might as well go hang out, do some fun stuff.
Oh,
If you cut it back just enough, you can end up having a much higher quality of life just because your stuff's done and you're not stressed.
yeah, I agree. Just an endless cycle, just of
Yeah,
alcohol, especially in the college culture. I feel like it's just
yeah.
pushed upon you so much too, especially here in Wisconsin as well. Not much else to do.
And I bartend and or I bounce in the drunkest city in America. Appleton's. I'm not sure if it's listed number one. It has been in the past. It's in the top three still, drunkest cities in America. And man, dude, people put away so much liquor, dude. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, especially in Wisconsin, just the German culture.
Yeah,
But
the first night of bouncing, some dude walks in off the cold, icy streets, snow on the ground, walks into the bar that I was bouncing. It was a different one from the one I bounce at now. Walks in with one sock and a bare foot. I was like, dude, you go home and take a shower, dude. Like, what are you doing out here, man? Call it a night. Like,
I don't know. People just be getting wild, especially in Appleton, the drunkest city in America. I don't know. Yeah, I can't even imagine what goes on there. I'm sure it's something different every time.
yeah, it really is.
Were there? So you said that you were a first. What was it called? You were a first high school graduate. Like, so you said
Yeah,
that the main
first
thing that made.
gen.
So you were the first one. Did it? So none of your siblings did as well?
Nope, none of my siblings. Actually, I take that back. One of my siblings has now graduated high school. It's my younger sister. Um, so she is the second in our essentially our lineage to graduate high school. And it's because of the culture we came from. A lot of Amish background in my hereditary line. So I actually was born into an Amish family. They left when I was a kid. And then I went through a bit of a culture shock, but I adjusted. And yeah, that's why, because in the Amish community, nobody uh people don't go through high school. They go through the basics, learn how to read, write, do math very well, and they take algebra, and then that's about it. They start working after eighth grade, and ironically, they're not that dumb. I mean, there's some, but as a general rule, there's a lot of really smart, really intelligent people in the Amish community. There's a lot of people that are, you know, much better off financially than most of general American culture. There's some people that are millionaires off their businesses because they're renowned all across America for their quality of work, whether it's construction, home building, um, furniture. Their furniture lasts forever. I mean, my family, I was at the family farm 2 days ago, and my dad was using the same wooden trash can to hold the trash bags or whatever. They made that. He was using the same one that we had in like 2004, 2005. It's still working, it still looks good, still has the nice shiny varnish coat on it. And I think the only thing we've had to do is replace the hinges on it because the wooden lid flips up, the hinges got rusty. That was the only thing. Still works. And if you buy something from Amish people, man, it lasts forever. But yeah, I mean, they don't Amish culture, people don't go through high school. So I my main reason I even did was I wanted to play football, man.
Oh,
Saw a
nice.
couple football movies. I was like, give me
Hey,
my pads.
and that's awesome though. Like from the outside, you can't even tell, but that is very interesting because you build yourself, and I feel like you're more intelligent than the common person within the United States. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I
you're pretty knowledgeable.
and yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that comes down to, I mean, if you know the concept of neuroplasticity, the brain can change at almost any time. General neuroplasticity ends at like 25, and I think it kind of tapers off there. But that was kind of what I mentioned about becoming an expert in something, becoming really good at something. Is when you do that, you start to understand how the learning curve works, and then your intelligence expands to just like you understand stuff at a base level more, and you'll hear a new concept or you'll hear about a new, say, a new political stance or a new political argument, and you'll start to understand the base of why it exists, and then you can have more intelligent conversations about that and learn more at a faster rate than you did before. So
Yeah.
it's like you develop the ability to speed up the learning process.
Well, no, that's actually very interesting. I didn't know about that myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think and that's another thing too, is growing up in a different culture. I think that's what spurred a lot of it for me. I feel like my brain had to redevelop a lot more because, I think most people hit like what, 14, 15, and they're kind of in their little social circle in high school and they kind of settle. They're like, all right, well, like this is it. For
Yeah.
me, when I was 16, I just started high school. And so I had to like redevelop and like, excuse me, I had to like settle into like normal American culture. And uh I think that led to a lot of just like being really open minded. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize how different cultures are.
Oh yeah. What would there be like? Is there anything you remember specifically that'd be like the biggest culture shock?
From Amish as opposed to regular, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one is just the general rule of the culture is like Amish people. All Amish is it's Christians that follow the more old school version of Christianity. Think Christians in like 1920. That's
Yeah.
how they live. They never adopted the modern technology, but at the end of the day, the religion is just Christianity, and a lot of people don't realize this, but they're essentially the last real Christians. They live like real Christians should. Uh, Nobody has sex before they're married in Amish culture. Um, People don't fight. People aren't like it's not. There's no violence. It's really old school, and they actually follow the religion to a T. They don't make any exceptions. Like, um, they actually like genuinely follow it. Everyone follows the religion. Everyone keeps that as like the center of their life. And a lot of people think Amish people work really hard. They really don't. What they do is mostly physical labor, but you know, the clock hits 5 and they're chilling at home. And if they're on dairy farms, like they got to milk the cows in the morning, they got to milk the cows at night. During the day, the other chores are done. They're out fishing.
Yeah.
I think as a general rule, I'm trying to think the biggest culture shock is no, I got it now. It's definitely the lack of technology
Yeah.
because people would think, oh well, that sucks, but it doesn't. And that's the ironic thing about it is when you don't have phones, children will always find ways to entertain themselves.
Yeah.
So when they don't have phones, they're building a treehouse. They're doing something, man. They'll go to the hay mow in the upper part of the barn where the hay's usually kept. They'll tie a rope to the beam or to one of the beams, and then they'll have a rope swing in the hay mow. Now, even if they fall off the rope, they'll land in the hay. They'll be fine. When I went to visit my cousins the last time, they had this ravine behind their house, and so they didn't have phones. They needed to find some other way to have fun. So somehow or another, they got like 30 feet up this tree to this really big, strong branch and got a steel cable hooked up to it. One of those steel, almost like an electric line, but like a super strong steel cable that isn't going to break. They attached that to a rope that was about 25 feet long and hung it back down so that in the ravine, it hung off the ravine, and then they could pull it up and they would sit on this platform they built, jump off of it, and swing out across the ravine. I mean, it was crazy. It was like a bungee jump, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was just at the Wisconsin Dells yesterday, and they have all those like theme park scary rides and stuff.
Yeah.
Amish kids will build those for themselves to entertain
Oh,
themselves, and that's how they live without technology. And out in normal society, nobody really knows how to entertain themselves without a phone.
yeah. That's very fair. I feel like technology is kind of taking over
Yeah,
everybody. People just walking and scrolling on their phone rather than
yeah.
watching to see where they're going. Just
And
stuff.
granted, I mean, the meme culture is pretty prime right now. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie,
Pretty fire.
but yeah, that's definitely the biggest culture shock between the two. But
Yeah.
I definitely say Amish people's quality of life is higher than normal society.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would definitely say that for sure.
Yeah, well, good points. Is there anything else you'd like to promote before I finish up today?
Promote. Um, if you're in the Fox Valley, man, and you need photography, hit me up.
Hit 'em
I
up.
got you.
All right. Well, we'd like to say thank you for joining the podcast today, man. And it was very beneficial to probably everybody watching at home. So thank you for that.
Like, thanks for having me, man. It was fun.
And no problem. Thanks for watching the podcast with Eli Yoder today. And this is SLA Foundation. Don't forget to hit subscribe below.